this little workshop was organized by the CIRU, and Aryadeep was part of the organization. So I will let him introduce a little my work. He knows it very well. And I must also thank our friend of the CIRU, Luigi. Okay, Luigi organized this seminar.
Thanks. It would be appropriate to tell you something how Mr. Solowkoski came in touch with Auroville. About a year and a half ago, I received a phone call from one of our donors to the land from Pondicherry that a management consultant is visiting Pondicherry and that it might be interesting to you to meet him. He also gave me his website address. So I immediately checked on his website address, and there I found one article, a research paper, Strategies for the Future. It was a very in-depth research. It was not just a strategy for the future, but he was studying the whole spectrum of social evolution with special reference to economy and business. And then he projected his thesis into the future. When I read that article, I immediately felt that Michael Solov is one of those people who are dreaming of what may be called post-monetary society, or the new ways of doing business, or the new spirit in business. So I immediately said to our friend in Pondicherry, yes, I am very interested to meet this man. I went to Pondicherry, gave some of my papers, and next day he came to Auroville as a visitor for the first time, I suppose.
Yes, for the first time.
And first impression that we had all was that of an immediate report from our side. We felt that we have discovered our friend, and on his side, to use his own words, he felt immediate synchronicity with Auroville and with Aurovillians. Almost all Aurovillians whom we met, and quite many Aurovillians came to meet him. They all became his friends. At the time he came, he also works of here. So he came as a visitor, he stayed for 1 week, and he left as a friend of Auroville. So when he left in France, one of the things he did was to organize some public gathering on Auroville. I heard later on that quite a lot of people came in that gathering, and they were asking all sorts of questions about Auroville, about my mother, and all these things. Apart from that, I also came to know via email that he was traveling extensively for his management consultancy. He was in USA and many other places. Then back to France. And now he is again back to Auroville. This time he is going to stay for a longer time, for 1.5 months. I must tell you one thing, that he, besides management consultancy, he is also a very good painter, an artist. I am not an artist, so I may not be able to appreciate all that he has sent me by email, his photographs, but there is quite some art in it. He is doing his paintings and all these things. And he even dreams that someday he will teach some art to the transition schools. So, this is a multifaceted person. The last time he came, he met so many people from Auroville and called him as a celebrities. But in Auroville, we have quite a lot of, it is a concept of a universal township. We have a whole business section, industrial section. We have quite 100 units, some of them are weak, some of them not so weak. But we are all dreaming of becoming a whole an entire zone dedicated to business and industry. So I hope that his visit this time and his today's presentation, the interaction that followed, may open up some vistas, give some clues, some ideas, some vision. Anyone who wants to contact him, he is going to stay here. You can send an email or write to me, and I am here and I can help. He is going at various places, 5-6 places in Auroville. But you can write to me, and I will be great to arrange contact with him. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Ayad. So perhaps we can open the PowerPoint. So thank you to be here. I will present you really the heart of my work, the center of my work. I have the concept that I'm going to present you. I've been working on it around for 20 years, so it is a lot of research. I discuss it with thousands of people all over the world, and it is mainly about something which is really the deep heart of Auroville. It is the mankind, the change in the mankind, in the evolution of mankind. That is the main subject of my presentation. So, when we began this research, we tried to understand first if there are really a change. When I began this work 20 years ago, the idea was we had the feeling that Earth, all the Earth, was going through a very big change. But we were not absolutely sure of it. There was a beginning of different signs. A lot of people were speaking about change. But as it was a transdisciplinary research, there was not so many places in the world where they study this big evolution change. So we began, this research at the Ministry of Research in France, in a place where we had a network of 700 researchers all over the planets with whom we are going to work for around 3 years. So the beginning was to try to understand if there are really a change. And more I began to work, more I discovered that yes, we are going through a big, big change. And even most of the information on the planet, you see a lot of news, but nobody tells you that really we are in a big change. You know, you are trapped in a lot of little details, but nobody gives you the big pictures. So what I'm going to tell you tonight to explain you is the big pictures. And it is true that we are going through a big change. But what is this change? So we can go ahead. So first, the best way to understand the actual change is to look in the history to the past change. First, what we discover when we study history, and that is very new because even 20 years ago, the mankind history was only 10,000 years old, you know. Nobody was thinking that mankind exists on Earth for 3 million of years. That is very new. That is research who have been developed these last 20 years. Even 10 years ago, when I began to make this PowerPoint, the people said, no, it is not 3 million of years, it is 1 million of years. But then they discover a man coming from 3 million of years. So, first what we see, it is that there are a long, long, long time where mankind was hunter and gatherer. And it is why perhaps we like so much go and just do hunting and gathering, because it is something we are very deep in our inside us. And then around 30,000 years ago, but we could say really 10,000 years ago. So it is very new in the history of mankind. People began to connect with themselves, to make more big tribes, and began to make agriculture breeding. And of course, with this, you need to count. You say count? What is a good word? Count? One, two, count? Yeah, yes, you need to count. And then you need to write. And it is really the beginning of the civilization. And of course, as you know, 300 years ago, and really only 1 century ago. So it is very, very new. Really, it is a very short time. Then industry and commerce began to develop. And the people who began to develop this new kind of civilization, the historian explains that only in 50 years, only 510, in 50 years, they conquer 90% of the globe. So the fact to have a new paradigm, a new way of thinking, and that was mainly the science, the development, the huge development of science, give to a little part of mankind a huge power on all the earth. So the question was, is it possible to consider that we are beginning a new kind of civilization which is more... Ah, yes, thank you. It is possible to consider that something else happened after industry commerce. That was the main idea. And so what we discovered at this time, it was around 20 years ago, some researchers were thinking about the eventuality that computer will bring information society, not anymore industrial society, but information society. And so we began to study the possibility of this information society. But when we began to work on those ideas, we were just at the beginning. When I began to work on those subjects, it was perhaps, there was on earth 10 books speaking about it. Now there are perhaps 10,000 books about it. So, you know, even me, I have difficulty to, that is typically what happens in research right now. It is, even if you are specialized in a field, there are so many books on those subjects that even if you take all your life on your own very little subject, then you are lost in all the literature. So at this time, hopefully, only 10 books. So I began to read those 10 books. But they were speaking about a new era, but they were saying information society. And even now, it is a term which is mostly used on Earth. You have a huge summit with all the states speaking about information society now every year. But when I began to work on those concepts, I discovered that when they speak about information, they was using a word of industrial era to try to understand the information era. And that was a mistake. It is a little as you are in agriculture, and then you have already a beginning of industry, which is artisanat. You say artisanat in English, artisanat? No? Craftsmanship. Craftsmanship, sorry, thank you. Craftsmanship. And you say, okay, industry era will be craftsmanship on a huge level, you know? And it is the same. We are in the industrial era, and we think about the information era, so we project our own concept of industry on information era. But when you began to think about information, there are a lot of information everywhere. Everybody is lost in information. The problem is not the information. The problem is the ability to create a new information. That is which have value. If you are not able to create information in the information society, information per se have no value. As a matter of fact, in the information era, when we will see why and everything, the thing which is important is not the information, is the ability to create a new information and communicate it, because it is the way you create value. If I don't study all the information which are on my field, of course, it is very difficult for me to create a new idea. But even if I study all the information and I do not create a new idea, then my presentation have no real value, because the value of my presentation, it is because I study all this field and then I make a plus, I create new information in this field. You understand? So, after agriculture breeding, industry commerce, better to say creation communication, because it is really the ability to create new information and communicate which is important. So let's try to discover now what changed in which era. You will discover it. And it is very curious because, of course, when I was doing all this work, I don't know at all Sri Aurobindo. I just have read the Bhagavad Gita of Sri Aurobindo. And later on, these last 5 years, I began to be interested by Auroville and began to read Sri Aurobindo. And I discovered a lot of intuition of this. And Sri Aurobindo has those intuition at the beginning of the previous century. So it is why it is so interesting, because he is really a visionary. And what happened now is clearly in a connection with what he has vision. So let's go on the next one. Okay, so we have our 4 levels of activity. And of course, when industry commerce develop on Earth, it don't stop agriculture breeding. It changed agriculture breeding. The agriculture breeding begins industrials. So you see very well that anytime, anytime a new activity, a new step in civilization develop, it don't stop the previous one. It changed it. At the beginning, we was doing hunting gathering. When agriculture developed, we was doing still hunting gathering, but not on the same way. After industry commerce developed, and then we continue to do agriculture, but on a new way, on a more industrial way. And now, creation communication develop, and even industry commerce is transforming, and agriculture also, and hunting. Now, for example, we hunt not anymore with pistolet. How we say pistolet? You hunt with a camera, for example. It is a new way to hunt now. You don't kill the nice animals, you just make photo with them, for example. And for example, in the future, what we can say is that the agriculture now all over the world, they continue to make industry agriculture, but this industrial agriculture are less and less accepted. What we see all over the planet is the beginning of a more creative agriculture. For example, peasants began to do new kind of legumes, or all legumes who was forget, they do it again, you see. They are more and more creative in the way to do agriculture. And eventually, of course, all the bio-agriculture come from a more creativity in the way to do agriculture. So you have the tools who are employed to each state of civilization. So at the beginning, it is really the prolongation of nails on the teeth, you know, all the comme on dit, les pierres taillées, all the stones, les pierres taillées, comment on peut... Sharp stones, you say? Sharp stones. And then, you can go, the prolongation of arms and legs, and then sense organs, and then brain and nerves. And of course, here you have all the computer, here you have all the camera, the TV and everything. And even the possibility to use energy, which is typically industrial era. It is the fact that you transform the gas, for example, the gasoline, as energy, as we do it in our organs. Okay, the type of power changed completely. You can osmosis with the nature, then territory possession, then capital availability, and now information innovation. Now, even if you have huge capitals, if you are not able to innovate, then very quickly you lost your capital. So the capital is not anymore really the issue. The issue is really your ability to do innovation in terms of information, to really create new information. In terms of organization, meet tribes, monarchy kingdom, democracy states, and feeling network. So you begin to see a kind of framework, and you begin to see the evolution. I must say that you must understand that in this century, the main industry century, the population of the world, the Earth population, come from 1 billion of people to 6 billion. In only 1 century, we multiply the population of the planet Earth by 6. And it is why we have now a problem of pollution, you know. That the problem of pollution is very deeply connected with the fact that we are 6 billion. And we are going through a state to be 8, 9, perhaps 10, and then we will stop. We already have begun to stop. So we will not be more than 10. And the way population is now moving, slowing the growing, was more quick than we was thinking. So, you know, everybody 20 years ago was speaking about the problem of population. But it is not anymore a problem, because already all over the planet, and even more quickly than we was thinking, the population was stabilized. And typically in China, it is important. It is typically the situation where even the population, now you have only 1 children. The only place on Earth where there is still a growing population, as a matter of fact, is where? In all the planets. Where? Do you see? China. Not China, because they make a huge politics about 1 children. India. India. It could be Africa, but why Africa is not going well right now?
Because they're all dying.
Yes, they are all dying with the SIDA. So Africa could have grown even more quickly than India, but the SIDA is so big, so huge, you know, that it will be one of the first parts of the world where the population will decline. AIDS, yes, sorry. AIDS. Okay, even you see it on this card, you know, you see Africa, there are no light. It is terrible when you see all the... That is a map of the Earth through satellite during the night. And you see the part of the world where the industrial civilization have developed. And you see Africa, it is still in black mainly. It is very well, it is a good way to see it very quickly. So, The thing, when I discover this, it is curious because also you could say, okay, but what will be next, you know, after 4 steps? Okay, why 4 steps? What will be next? Because also you see the acceleration of time. That was only 3 centuries. This around 30,000 years. And this 3 millions of years. So that means that perhaps that will stay only 30 years. So the question, a lot of people ask me the question, what will be next? Because even if it is difficult to think now, 20 years after, we are already in this, more or less. We don't have changed completely, but we are already, the computer have developed very quickly, and we are already in this. But what will be the next? And what I discover, for a long time, I don't have answer, because of course it was already very difficult to have a deep understanding of information society. But then I meet people who was working in biology. In biology, is it all right? Biology. And they discover, I explain it in my book, they discover that any kind of life go always through 4 main change. They show that it was true for the cells. For example, the cells appear on Earth for millions of years. You have only on Earth cells who was not organizing themselves in multicellular. We are multicellular. We are billions of cells. But for millions of years, you are only cells who was unique, you know, who don't know how to build a body with a lot of different cells. And those biologists show that you find this framework all over life. All life always go through 4 steps. First step, they appear. Second step, they began to learn to work together. 3 steps, they began to spread around. On 4th step, they mute. They are a mutation. For example, the 4th step in cells, it is that they began to learn and to build multicellulars, which was quite new because then the cells was not able to live alone. They was participating to the building of a multicellular. And then animals appear, vegetables appears, all these plants appears. So it seems that exactly as Sri Aurobindo have vision, we are, through creation communication era, arrive in a time of big change. Of course, the change from industry commerce to information society is, of course, a big change. It takes 1 century to go from 1 billion of people to 6 billion, and to saturate all the planet by mankind. But it takes only 10 years, which is really slow, little in front of all the history. 3 millions of years, only in 10 years. 1 billion of humans get connected on internet. Only in 10 years. So what is happening right now is really a new situation for mankind. Some biologists are speaking about the fact that in your Earth you have around 10 billions of cells who are connected. And mankind will be soon mankind will be around 10 billions of people. We will be around 10 billions, and we will then saturate all the space of Earth. And that will happen around in 25 years. And in 25 years, computer will cost nothing. So each man on this planet could be connected through a computer. And even the computer perhaps will be under our skin. It will be so little that we don't need it will be not a big stuff as this, it will be perhaps just a little, very little things that we will be there, and then through this little thing I will be connected, or I don't have even have to speak in a phone, because I can connect through these little cells all over the world. And these little cells will connect directly to my nervous system. So it will be the idea of to be connected with each person immediately on source, you know. So this situation of 10 billion of man, of a woman, of course. When I say man, it is on a French way, which is general man and woman, or 10 humans, 10 billions of humans connected and doing more or less all research together to transform the planet. You can imagine the change when you have 10 billions of people educated, who all are researchers in a way, because very quickly the main activity of man will be research, creativity, creation. You can imagine how quickly move the knowledge. And it is actually moving so quickly that when you are a researcher, actually already it is very difficult to understand your own field, because it is already moving very quickly. But right now it is only, perhaps there are, actually right now there are more researchers on Earth that in all the history of mankind. More people are doing research or are in knowledge that even if you addition all the history, all the people doing research during all the history of mankind. So it is why the research are going so quickly now. But of course that is nothing if you compare with what will happen in only 10 or 20 years, when China, India, a big part of the world will be themselves educated. It is what happened right now with India, where more and more people are educated. And so they began to participate, to begin researchers, to give new ideas. And of course, the same in China. And it is why there are this so quick move. So all this to say that we are really, and it is as this I began to be really fascinated by this subject, and now I am working on this for 20 years, because I just say, oh wow, it is incredible, we are really, it is true, we are really in a big change. It is something we cannot imagine. We are just all, each of us trapped in our little activity, and we don't see the big picture, which is that we are living at the time where mankind just awake, began to be aware of the planet, began to be aware of the possibility of 10 billions of heads connected together. Yes, you can continue. So the first column then is about what? Exchange, yes. Interesting also. Each time the mankind change of activity, even the way to exchange change. And the thing which is interesting, it is the money is typically industry commerce. But we don't need money. If we have a network of computers, we don't need any more money. And of course, it is very interesting to work on this new idea of economy without money. And it is interesting to see when I read the Mother or Sri Aurobindo on this, of course, I say, oh, it is so crazy that people have seen about this so long ago. And now you have you have very important economy who are began to think about what could be an economy without money. Because now money is not adapted anymore. For example, money was at the beginning, at the industrial era, it was really a necessity. Because because of the development of the commerce, it cannot be adapted to use coins. You can imagine if we were still with coins, you know, doing business with coins. So paper money was really the best way to build an industrial economy. But at this time it was very new because it was kind of abstract. Yes, I give something who have a lot of value, and then just a paper, So it was quite abstract. Thank you, Ariane. But now, money, if you study a little economy, the interesting thing is that money developed by himself. And now you have a speculation on money. And those speculations are very dangerous for the world economy because this speculation is 300 times more important than the real economy. And more people are thinking about the fact that we can have a break on this economy because of this so huge quantity of money who are just an abstraction and who are used not to do real economy, but who do just speculation. And that is very dangerous. So we are thinking more and more at the possibility that all this economy will, in a way or other, break. Why? Because money is not anymore adapted. I will not go too deeply in this because, of course, mentality. The thing which is interesting also is to see how the mentality evolved. Then you have animism at the beginning, appear pantheism, and then more or less more monotheism, and analogical way of thinking. And then, big break, scientific rational. And the thing which is interesting it is that we are more and more visioning a new way of thinking about the future, which is more holistic, more systemic, and we reintroduce again the question of spirituality. And again, you see the connection with the vision of Sri Aurobindo. It is very interesting. And communication, oral, personnel, written, manuscript, audiovisual, mass media, interactive computer. Of course, interactive computer is very important because here you have one man who speaks to all the others. So he manipulates their conscience. But here you have interactive computer, it is a lot of people, it is 10 billions, 1 billion actually of people who are just sharing information, which is not at all the same that before when you have one man who speaks to all the others and who do propaganda. In this world, propaganda is not working anymore. The people want to be actors. The people want to be creators. And all over the world, the people began to learn to be creator, to be proactive. Even more and more big company, even for example, la BBC, which is a huge mass media company, BBC in England, they are working on how empower their clients and to be creative, and so they give space more and more to each person, as if they can build program. And you have one manifestation of this is Wikipedia, which is extraordinary. The fact that all over the world, people are creating a big encyclopedia, which is developing now with perhaps, I don't know, there are 100,000 people all over the planet working on a big encyclopedia. In each country, it is beautiful to see the information and all those people who are just creating all together a new vision of the knowledge on Earth right now. Okay. So perhaps the second part is about how organization can evolve, because of course the organization who was very efficient in this era are not anymore efficient in this era. And that is very important for example, an organization as Auroville, because you want to be in advance, you want to be avant-garde organization. And the difficulty it is everything we learn about organization come from those era. But it is very important to think about what in the meaning, how you transform an organization to be a good organization in the information era. But I stop a little on those concepts and I answer your question. Who wants to speak?
Yes, actually I want to make a comment which I like very much in presentation, the division for 4 waves. Because it really corresponds exactly to Sri Aurobindo's vision of development, of evolution, where he speaks about 4 major stages of evolution.
Yes.
And first was of golden age, and there was conventional age, which corresponds to the agriculture kingdom. Then there was age of individual development, which corresponds exactly to industry and commerce. And now we are entering into subjective age. This subjective age is a big question mark. What is that? Subjective, where everybody is a part of the whole and can contribute to the whole through communication, interaction, and so on. Thank you.
I must say that now I began to study deeply Sri Aurobindo. I am very happy to don't know him before, because I do all those research scientifically, and I arrive to those research studying really what happened in the planet. And if I know too much Sri Aurobindo before, I will have been I will have been disturbed, you know, and I cannot see objectively, do objectively my research. But now I'm very happy to read Sri Aurobindo and to discover how much his own intuition at the beginning of the previous century was completely connected with what happens right now. And it is true that this new era is very particular in front of the other era. Just before to come in Auroville, I was at l'UNESCO with a big meeting about information society, where you had the best thinker about information society and everything. And one of them, Alain Touraine, says something he is a sociologist. And he says something very important. He said, in the previous era, the way you organize society was more or less obligate. You have no choice. When you do agriculture, you can do different kind of agriculture. But you do agriculture, and then you have to work, and you have to count. So more or less, all over the planet, the agriculture civilization seems more or less the same. Of course, there are different kinds of culture, but the humanity have no huge possibility. But what he said, and of course industry, it is the same. You then arrive more or less to a factory, and then there are nothing more similar than a factory to other factory, you know. But then, if you arrive here, then everything changes, because in this era, all depends of each will of each person. And each person have to find, and it is the subject of my second book, it is to find his own genius. If you don't find, if you are just a good specialist, it is very good industrial era, but in the era of creation communication, you need to find your genius. What inside you is really unique. What the divine have tell you to come to do on the earth, you know. So the creation communication era is really the era where each person is called to be totally himself. And not anymore trapped by the type of activity. He is not anymore trapped. He is really working on how to be. Not to, here is to have, but here is really to be. What to be? But also, and the thing, it is the thing which is most, of course, in all the planets, most of the people who are working on information era are not aware of something which is the information era is just the step to a big, big transformation, which is a mankind transformation in something which is completely not even imaginable for a human. Thank you for your... Do you want to speak? No? You were thinking about... Sorry, you know, I am too connected.
You spoke about the research in the world.
Yeah.
You see also a negative effect.
Yeah.
I heard that in America, for example, 90% of the researchers are working for the army.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
And the chemical industry, they are faster to develop new pesticides.
Yes.
The environmentalists.
Yeah.
What is necessary is to put some assessment and value in these things. I do not know how. Maybe you have some answer.
Yes, it is true that we are in a situation, a very curious situation, and it is true. More I work on this, more I discover that, of course, somewhere it is right that mankind should transform. But when you say it is right, it don't mean it is done. I will explain. I won't mean, for example, we all go through child and then adolescent. How you say adolescent in English? Adolescent, teenager, and then adult and everything. It is right that we will go through all those steps. But some of us, sadly, don't die before, you know. And I think there are, this evolution, we can see on a fractal way, we can see this evolution all over the planet. But of course, we can very well imagine that something similar in another way happens in the star all over the cosmos, where there are billions and billions of other planets. So I mean this kind of evolution is right, but it depends on Earth to make it happen. I mean, there are something which is very beautiful in a way. It is that there are the possibility, but it depends on Earth to transform, to be able to do this. And so, as you point, right now we are still trapped. We are as teenagers between the difficulty is that we still want to kill our father at the time where we just that is not anymore the issue. We should just take care of the planets and really be worried about our parents, these beautiful planets, which we are the side of these planets, and it is true that we have the ability to destroy it 30 times, not only one time. There are enough atomic bombs on planets to destroy the planet 30 times, not only one time. So that is absolutely crazy, you know. And it is true that right now, two scientists on third are working for the army. It is very sad, you know. It is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it's true that really we have to make it, because the people are still trapped in this mindset where there was nation and people have to develop army to defend each nation, which is absolutely crazy now, because that is not anymore the issue. The issue is just to save the planets. That is the dangers. It is completely, it's a good point. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
You have a very optimist vision, somehow like a positivist head. And as you have quoted the BBC made a survey and discovering that the most popular thinker right now in England is Karl Marx. And that even industrialists and big corporation thinkers are turning to him because he had foreseen a stage which is not the proletariat dictatorship, but that capitalism will collapse on its own by its own intrinsic contradictions. So this is exactly what it seems happening thanks to the multinational. And probably you are envisaging a stage which is after, but the one we are living right now is on one side what Aurobindo called a new barbarianism. And he called the Philistine commercial age. So everything is money and business. And even research is a serve to that, and technology is a serve to that. And anyhow, I'm quite confident because I really believe that capitalism will destroy itself thanks to the multinationals. And then we can enter the stage you are talking about.
Yes, thank you. For example, nobles of the previous era was trying to do a little industry and everything. So we are exactly in this situation where we are still trapped in industry commerce, even if, of course, there are a beginning of this. And as you say, and it is very interesting because I completely convinced of what you say. It is that capitalists, and more people are thinking of it, are just killing himself exactly as Marx previews it. And as a matter of fact, he have been a little more long because of the URSS. Because during the time Soviet Union was there, capitalists cannot be completely capitalist. But now Soviet Union is not anymore then capitalists can be completely capitalist. And then what Marx have very well explained is happening. It is a concentration, a so big concentration of the money on the top that just it cannot be anymore okay. You know, it is what happened all over. I was in New York just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I was there. I have not been in New York for 10 years, and just in New York, it was so clear. You have very rich people now, and then middle class who are transformed in slaves, who are just running in the street, working as crazy just to have a little money, just have their flat. You know, it is. It is even badder than to be in prison because you work so much just to have a flat, little, and work all the day. And then you have the rich people who don't anymore work. Clearly they are not working anymore. You know, it was not as. And so this concentration now, you can see the concentration. It is as a man where all the blood got on the head and he died. Yes, it's
I wish to add that they also said in that survey that we are going back to the stage of early liberalism. Smith and Ricardo, and the same ferociousness and devouring each other, and the bigger one devouring all the small ones, so that what the people who once were even industrialists returning to proletariat and so on. And I wish to add also the vision of two big, one is Freud and the other is Jung. So Freud in 1927 wrote an essay which is called The Disease of Civilization, where he foresaw the end of the civilization, saying that humanity is still ruled by incest, cannibalism and murder, and because of that they have to be tamed by the law, because otherwise they will be set wild. Jung instead saw the possibility of saving this civilization through the coming forward of the two feminine spirits, which is intuition. So I believe that both of them are right, and we have to evolve into this kind of situation in order to save the civilization. Because the mother also foresaw several times the possibility of civilization being completely destroyed. But she said that would be a pity because we cannot throw everything like this. So it has to be saved at any cost.
Thank you. Thank you very much. features of this new era, now I point it more clearly, is systemic complex. When I make a presentation on Auroville in Paris, in front of 100 persons, one of the persons say, okay, you speak about Auroville and everything, but do you know that Sri Aurobindo say that the supermental will arrive on Earth in the 56. And I don't know at this time. Now I read it. And they say, no, why? And he said, because at this time it is the beginning of systemic way of thinking. And it is true that in my last work, and I explain it more clearly in this new edition of the book, which is the 4th edition. Now this book is one of the best-selling in France on all those subjects. And what I explain is that really the development of systemic is really the beginning for me of the supramental on Earth. And it is true that it is completely connected with 56, with the year of 56. Because the first thinker and the first paper about systemic was in 56. So if you want to study systemic, it is really interesting. And systemic is connected with supramental because in systemic, you began to be aware of level of complexity. And you don't anymore think on a reductionist way, which is typically of the mental. And of course, also in systemic, the problem which is very different of the rational approach reductionist, which where you study little elements. In systemic, you always study little elements, but in connection with the whole. And then the question is the meaning, which is not the question when you do science on the reductionist way. In systemic, in complexity, the problem is always to understand the meaning of the whole and the meaning of each part in the whole, which is the genius. And then, little and little arise the question of your divine will. Of course, you don't say divine. You don't need anymore to say divine will. But you say the will, but the will it comes from your connection to the whole. So it is another way to say divine. So, of course, all this, if you, in systemic science, because it is a science, if you use the term divines, it is all terms. I mean, you don't need to use any more divine. You say just that you have to find your will. Each part has to find his will. But in a way, it is. Is it clear?
It's even that.
Yeah. And I think what I experienced myself was more I use scientifically confront to what I am doing on Earth, you know, because when you are doing systemic research or doing systemic way of thinking, then always the question who arises is the question of finality. So you begin to think always about in terms of finality. And then you begin to try through your intuition to understand deeply what is the finality of each object, you know. And then you are connected with the essence of the object. And then you begin to be connected through this essence to the idea of God, of the infinite, in a way. The other thing which is very interesting, it is that in a way, in a systemic way, in a way you can prove the existence of God on a very, very easy way, you know. I can explain you in this way. It is that when you are in a mental, you always trap because you cannot, you think always about finite thing. Mental is able to think about finite thing. But of course, by definition, the truth is not in the finite. Because anytime you analyze a finite object, you analyze this object, you have not the true, you have only the true of this object. You understand?
It's not the infinite.
It is not the true, it is just the true of this object. It is not the true with a big T. So, the true with a big T is connected with infinite. But then you can very well prove that through your mental you cannot connect the infinite. The only way to connect the infinite is to be the infinite. And actually the only way to be in the infinite is to meditate on infinite. And then you be the infinite. And then you find your own will in terms of little object. And the thing which happens, it is that you disconnect yourself. You are in same time this little object, and in same time the infinite. And the situation to be in same time, if I can be in same time the infinite, then my will as little object, I can play it as a game. Death and life, and be happy or not happy, are not anymore really, your ego dissolve. You still are this little object, but you are not anymore just this little object. I can experiment through my meditation on infinite. I can experiment the absence of time. I can experiment that I will never die because I am this infinite, you know. And that is experimentation. It is not just as in religion something that you think about, you know. It is just experimentation. And of course, Sri Aurobindo have very well explained this. So. Okay, other question? So, what time is it? Okay, wow, we are quite on time. So, do you want I present the second part on about organization, or do you want that I do the presentations? Okay. So, this second part of the presentation is completely different. Then what happens, it is one of the main European consulting firms began to get interested with my research, and they said, okay, you should come and work with us and tell us how the organization will change. Because of course for our clients it is very important. And of course I was a little surprised because of course, you know, I have an idea as a researcher of industrial, of a big company as to be very industrial, and I was not at all, I was a little destroyed by all those big people doing decisions in big company, and it seems to me very far from my own research, which was really the new era. But then I say, okay, but if they are interested, it could be interested because if I can convince all those CEOs to change, then it could be a big transformation for all the planet. So I say, okay, I will meet those people. And then they tell me how we can think about the organization of the future. And so I began to work then with around 10 persons in this. There was 1,000 consultants. On those 1,000, around 10 was really the best consultant of all the firms. There was very good person. And we began to work on how we can apply those research on organization. And the first thing was to discover that if you analyze an organization not on a reductionist way, but on a systemic, on a holistic way, then you have 4 main vectors of transformation. You can show them. Then is the culture, the management, the system and the structure. Structure and system. Yeah? Process. And so, when you take these 4 main vectors of transformation, you can then take the type and say that you have some organization who are type hunting gathering, a kind of. And then, for example, for the culture, we will have different kind of culture. Hunting gathering type of organization are fusion. You know, you have still. No, don't go too quickly. Fusion. Typically, it is what happened in the tribes, but it is what happens still now in kind of organization who are still hunting and gathering. What kind of organization, even in our civilization, are in the spirit of hunting and gathering? What type of organization? They are very well known. Everybody is afraid of them. Do you see? What? What? What do you say? CIA.
No, sects.
Yes, there are the sect. Perhaps CIA is a sect, especially with Bush now. But yes, you have a sect, but you have also the mafia. Mafia is working very well, very much on this kind of culture. And then during agriculture breeding type, you can go. Caste analogical. This is typically, of course, India, which is still agriculture civilization. And you see in India still this system of caste. But we forget it. Actually, when you study history, in all Occident, you have caste exactly as in India during agriculture era. The caste was very strong. It was really the deep organization of all the society. For example, if I was just a peasant and I take the blue, I was killed. Why? Why I was killed if I take a blue dress on me? Why I was killed?
The way of identifying oneself, you taking the identity of somebody else.
Yes, who was the man who was allowed to have a blue on his the king. Yes. So, so if you was, why they kill you? Because you have just touched to the most important thing in all the society was the level of caste, and you should apply and dress exactly at the level of society you was. So I remember one big bank, I was working on those kind of diagnostic, and in this bank, you know, they tell me, just beginning, say, no, don't take this elevator. I say, why I should not take it? That is the elevator for the working man. Okay. And then I go to, no, that is for just the middle management. You should take this one. That is for top manager. You are working with top manager. And then I began to ask them how they was organized, and they said, okay, you know, I know that I am in a new grade, not by a paper that I received, and also because la moquette get more épaisse. Comment on dit la moquette? And sometimes they make mistakes, so they put. I'm thinking I have changed my level of caste, but then they have made a mistake. And so even in a modern society, and most of the time in the administration or in big bank, in big organization, on a old way, they still have a lot of caste. For example, in this bank, which was true, there was 300 level of hierarchy, 300 level in the organization. So when you are completely at the bottom of the civilization, of the organization, when you see the chief, it is really good, you know, because you have 300 level before you. Okay. And then you have industry commerce. And industry commerce is typically other culture. It is equality logic. Everybody is equal. But you have to work hard. Because if you are less good than the other, then they fire you. And they fire you because you had your change. You was equal. But if you are bad, then your place is not there. And the problem It is a dynamic culture because you are always pushed to do the best. To do the best, that is the question, to do the best. And why to do the best is not good? Because it seems that this culture is perfect, you know. But why do the best is not good? Ask you, Koshre.
It's to make money for the boss.
Yes, to make money for the best. But it is even worse than this, because that is the most visible part of the iceberg. But there are something very worse. It is when you do the best in the industrial era culture. You do the best on the terms of the company, not on your own terms. And then more you are better, more you destruct yourself, in a way. Because you never connect with your uniqueness. More you try to do better, more you are far from your uniqueness. Because, of course, your uniqueness is not comparable to the better, you know. And that is why you have very big company where, at the end, for example, IBM is very well known as this. Everybody, each people, you see, somebody happen. I hope nobody is there. You don't look. There are no looks. IBM looks here. But if somebody arrives by this door, I can tell you, if he's from IBM, I will see it very quickly, only in the way he's dressed or even the way he moves, you know, because they are all clone. You know, they are so well selected to be just the same person, you know. And that it is why it is poor in terms of information. So in creation communication, the culture is completely different. It is a culture of what? Complexity, creativity. Create diversity, because the diversity brings you the complexity. And that is also very interesting, because really when you read the Mother about Auroville, you find this idea Auroville should not be made by somebody who the same people. It should really be a diversity of people, diversity of nation, diversity of talents. She writes a lot about this, and that idea is very important. And even biologists now know that more you have a diversity, more you have ability to adapt. And of course, this can seem chaotic, because when you have as in IBM, if you have all the same people, then everything is well organized. When you have a diversity of people, it seems chaotic. But in terms of ability to create information, to create innovation, this chaos is even more efficient than the well organized. And in terms of management, the management changed completely. Here is to fascinate. Here is to build a hierarchy, to impose, and then through the hierarchy you impose. Then to adapt, to negotiate. Everything, you have to negotiate everything here. And then is to generate, to inspire. In this fourth level, in this kind of organization, the most important is give the vision and say to each person, now, let's be each creative in your own way. We share together this vision, and now each person have the power to create his own way. And that also is very interesting, because Auroville is a very special place where this situation, where there are no hierarchy, there are not even a question of negotiation as in the industry commerce era, where each person say, okay, I will work, but give me the money first, you know. Oh, it is not enough money. No, it is the idea that because we can share together a vision, then each person in his own genius can bring the best of himself. And then we have organization, learning organization, because each person bringing his own genius, just each person began to be a learner and a teacher. Okay, you can move. Okay. Structure, informal bond. Okay, go quickly because classic pyramid, inverted pyramid, and interactive cell. And then recursive, formal mechanism, deductive, reactive, and inspired, proactive. The big difference between industry commerce and creation communication is the fact that in industry commerce the people are just reactive. They do marketing, they study the customer, but they are no visionary. They are no vision. It is always short time oriented. And the big difference, if you want to be in creation communication, you have to be inspired, you have to be proactive, you have to be in the future. And here you have still a good example of something that happens in Auroville 30 years ago. It is really incredible how much Auroville is an example of all the four types of organization. Okay, any question on this second part? So you can find this document on internet. I see, because you are working hard to copy everything. Yeah. It is okay, it's very nice, but it is okay if it is help for you, but you can, the information is open. No question? So perhaps I will finish then, perhaps giving you some idea, more basic of what we do with this. You can go ahead. That are some examples. Client as an object, client is a user, client is a king, client is a partner. It's very interesting because when you work, for example, for Auroville, the way you treat the clients is a very good way to have the feeling to know where you are, in the way you behave with your clients. The human resource mission, create an elite, manage a promotion, the right man at the right place, everyone has his own project. You know. Very interesting. The question in this sphere is each person has to have his own will, and then you build the connection with the common will and the global will and the will of each person. Go ahead. So there are all examples of the way you recruit. Okay, you can go quickly. Okay, go. So we develop 100 different vectors as for make deep analysis of company, of organization. And you see this is very interesting. The remuneration, you remunerate the adhesion, then the caste, then the professionalism, and then the uniqueness of the person. Very interesting. How you remunerate the uniqueness of the person is a very interesting way. And for example, mothers say each person should have, depending of his needs. So you should adapt the remuneration of each person to his own genius, to his own needs. But of course, you have really to love to acknowledge on the divine in the other, of course, when you begin to remunerate each person on his genius, you know. It's very interesting. So it changed completely the way you discuss the remuneration with the person. Okay, you can go ahead. 2 questions to answer. How to position your organization on the path to creation communication? That is typically the question I ask CEO. You know, it's very interesting. And usually they have little interactive tools, so they decide themselves where they are. It is very interesting. I don't decide for them. I let them decide, say where we are. How to take your organization to creation communication. So the thing which is interesting is I built those concepts, and after for 15 years, we began to work actually with company, transforming the company in this spirit. So you can go. Okay. And what we discovered is, of course, transform the organization was very important, but very surprising. We discovered, for example, that we transformed the organization, and then most of the salaries was completely lost. And we discovered that the problem, and that is typically of the subjective age, in the industrial era and in the agriculture era, you transform the organization, then the people have to behave on a special way. They cannot, they are obliged to move. But the information era, I tell you, now let's be creative. Okay, I can open the door to creativity, but I cannot oblige to you, each of you, to be creative. If you are in hierarchy, if I tell you, now you will make a tank, then you are obliged to make a tank. So I'm sure that I will have a tank, perhaps not a so good tank, but depends. But I will have a tank. But if I ask you to be creative, I cannot know. I don't know. And I don't know what you will create by definition. So the thing which is very interesting is that in the information era, the most important is to work not so much on the organization. Most of the time, it is just to open the door, make transparent the information, give everybody the possibility to build his own subject, his project. The true issue is the power, the will of individuals. So you have to make huge human development, personal development. So go ahead. So we discovered that first we have to familiarize the people. Then the people began to use those tools. Yeah, you can go ahead. And then develop the individuals and the company. And so we developed two kind of operational tools. One is to work with CEO and their team on organizational development, and then is to take individual in seminar to help them to find their genius, because we discover the people who don't find their genius, they are not able to work in learning organization, to be in advanced organization. So the potential of the individual are connected with the, you can bring in the potential of the organization. So I will do, actually, if you are interested, I will do a seminar here in Auroville about find your genius. It is free, you can come in this seminar, it will be in Verité. I don't know exactly when, because so you should connect with Ariadip and tell him, I am interested, or you write me your phone number or where you are or in the guest house and everything. As this we can advise you when we will do this seminar. Okay, you can continue. There are no more? No? Yes, you can go continue. I'm sorry?
I don't know what more slide.
What do you say?
No, I'm just telling you, I don't know how many more slides. He was how many slides.
Ah, yes, okay. Okay, so that is the individual potential seminar. Really, how to find your genius, and then you can go ahead. And that is typically what we do with company. And surprisingly, we have been working with big company and the little company, of course, and some of them was really interesting. I can say that it is a very curious time, because you have very advanced people and in the same time very people who are really trapped in a in the past, you know. So what we discovered was really that companies all over the world are really at different stages of development. You have very advanced company and very okay, you can go. That are typically some company. One of the company we began, you can come back, is Apple. Apple was very interesting company, for example. Reebok. And some company, of course, here we work with them, and then they take only perhaps 1% of what we say, of course. Or even they do exactly the contrary. You have to be, when you are a consultant, you have to be very modest, because it is the CEO who decides, so you just give advice, and after he decides. Okay, so thank you very much. Yes.
My question is how, and maybe you have answered it by saying there's going to be a seminar at Verity.
Yes.
Is that like, as an example, I would like to know how do you move from treating the client as an object to treating the client as a partner?
I think the main issue in all the way you move from industrial air is really to develop your own genius. And develop your own genius is really what we do in the seminar in Verity. And perhaps your question is how we do it. So let's say that, of course, that is not a mental process. You know, here I make a presentation which is mainly a conceptual presentation. And of course, find your genius have nothing to do with a mental operation, because it is to be connected, to learn to be connected with, in a Sri Aurobindo we will have say the divine. So it is to be connected with the infinite, and then find your place as a little object, but which is unique. The thing which is absolutely extraordinary, it is that each person is unique. And this uniqueness is something which is very precious, because he is unique, nobody else can bring this on earth. So mainly in this seminar, which more or less the time is 3 days, we go more deeply and deeply in the awareness of what is unique in ourselves. First, we began by the formal, so we began by the mental. We try to understand at the intellectual level. Then we go more in a heart level, at the emotional level, and then even more deeper on the intuition level, which is more the spiritual level. And of course, more and more we go deep, less it begins to be mental. It is completely an experience. So it is very difficult for me, sorry, to explain you, because it is an experiment. You should come at the seminar, as a matter of fact, because I can just explain to you by a word, but it is of course not conceptual stuff. It is really an experience. You know, experience the fact to be in your own place, really in your deep uniqueness. And of course, in the seminar, I help, I facilitate, but the thing which helps a lot is to see the same process happen in the other. That helps a lot. And each person helps each other. So we have done this for 15 years. And my second book, I just published a book on those experiences for these last 15 years. And this is Find Your Genius. Sadly, all those books are in French. So, and you see why, because my English is not so good.
Thank you. I look forward to the seminar.
I have a big question, but maybe it's too big.
Thank you. I look forward to the seminar.
I have a big question, but maybe it's too big. I will have to wait for the seminar. How can somebody find...
Yes, take the micro. Yes, somebody is give you...
How can somebody find his own genius within a company?
Yeah.
Because I always felt that my reason for being born is the ideal society. And that's how I joined Sherwood the mother, but I was an extreme left militant. And I left university to go and interact with workers in front of a factory with 12,000 people. And it's here I got night and day, and I have no private life, nothing, but as long as I was in Italy, I just refused. Because, and yeah, it's a long story, so I'm very surprised.
No, of course, if you cannot find your genius, is not working anymore. You cannot find your genius. No, you cannot find your genius. You can find your genius. You can find your genius. You can find your genius only if you are okay to be a little alone, to do it yourself, you know. I mean, you can do it in seminary, we can help, but at the end, it depends on you. And of course, most of the organizations who are still trapped in the past don't want that you find your genius, because if you find your genius, then you are a free being, and they don't want. They want instrument you. They don't want that you be a free being. And of course, that is connected with your question about how to treat the client as a partner. It is when you are in your genius, you like to interact and dialogue with other authors, with other creators. There is nothing more exciting for a genius to find another genius. You know, I can tell you this. It is anytime I find somebody creative, it is for me. It is the most big joy of my life. You know. Because they are, and then you are always looking to interact with people who are creators of their own life. And then it is natural. Then. And they are not anymore clients, of course. In a way, to say even clients is a kind of... most of my clients, even in business, began my friend, because when you begin to create together, it is so strong, so deep, so crazy that you get very good friend. And it is true that when you say the idea of Mother to be a place where the people are not there or not doing the fact, of course, as long as you connect genius with money, it is very difficult to be in your genius if you think about money. So the idea of Mother to say, okay, let's stop to think about the money. Just do stuff just because you won't really do it. Then you are in your genius. In a way, we could say that as long we work out of our genius, we are even better than prostitute. It is a kind of prostitution. Because prostitution is only the body, but as a matter of fact, when you work in a company and you are not in your genius, you prostitute even your soul.
You prostitute even more.
Yes.
When
you prostitute your spirit.
No, but when you sell your genius, then it's even worse.
Ah, no, because you never sell your genius. You give it. You buy. They can buy competence, but your genius. Even when you buy, it is very interesting. You think about this. Even when you buy pictures or you buy music, you don't buy the genius. You buy just a CD where there are the genius. But the genius have give it to the mankind. Your money is just a way to pay the process. And it is why also everything is changing so quickly now on internet, because also that is a question of what do you pay. But genius have nothing to do with economy. It cannot be economically managed in a way. You can make more or less as you manage it, but as a matter of fact, you never manage it in this way. For example, if I began to think, okay, if I began to say, okay, what I am going to do for money, then if I began to say this, as soon as I began to beginning on this way, I cannot be connected with my genius because I began little and little to do a lot of things which is completely disconnected with what is my really will. You know? But if I am connected with my genius, I can make in more money. I can make also money, but it is not the same. And as a matter of fact, when you are connected with genius, you do money for yourself, but as a matter of fact, you do money for a lot of other people. Most of the time, you do a lot more money for other people than for yourself. I can tell you, my publisher is more rich than me. Okay, other question? We are on time. Wonderful. So I let you the conclusion.
Yeah.
Aryadip. Lumière profonde, you know, Aryadip.
Hello. At the beginning of this small gathering, he said that he wants to give a big picture. And at the end, I do feel that he has fulfilled his promise. He has given us a big picture. By listening him, his research and how he discovered and he came to certain conclusions, I remembered one thing. Many of you must have heard the name of Rabindranath Tagore, very well-known poet of India. Sri Aurobindo once said about him that he is a wayfarer of the same path as ours, but he in his own way. That we are on the same wavelength, he is on his own way. When I heard about his studies and how he brought to various conclusions, I felt that he was also a wayfarer on the same path as that of Mother Aurobindo and Aurobindo. He was on the same wavelength. And the happy thing is that now he is coming back. While Rabindranath remained on his same level, he is coming back, the lines, parallel lines are now joining. That's a good thing. That's an enrichment that Aurobindo leads more and more talent. One thing I recommend, that this presentation which he gave, actually the vision which he conveyed should receive each and every Aurobindo business people. It really gives a wide expanse of mind, visions, some ideas of how to do business and what is the future of business. And some of the things, since his collaboration with Aurobindo, there is a possibility of furthering. We may think that Aurobindo has much to gain from Michael Salon. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you to all.